Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this new episode of the Lifelong Learning Center 20 Years, 20 Voices, Stories from the Lifelong Learning Center podcast. I'm Antonio. I have been co-hosting this with my colleague Lauren for a few months now, and you might have seen the episodes popping up in the previous months. And today I've got the pleasure to interview Lauren. So we're pushing things around a little bit. Hello, Lauren. How are you?
Really well, thank you. I am excited to be an interviewee rather than an interviewer today. We'll see how it goes. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Thank you. I really appreciated you taking the time for this chat, and I'm looking forward to it as well. So, shall we just start, Lauren, with the first question that we ask all of our guests? Would you mind telling our listeners a little bit more about you, your role at the Lifelong Learning Center, and how long you've been here, and all of the magical things that you do at the Lifelong Learning Center?
Of course, I will try and make it sound as magical as possible. So I'm Lauren. I am the Student Experience Officer at the Lifelong Learning Center, and I've been doing that job since 2020 is when I started. So coming on for 6 years now. And we all know that 2020 was an eventful year around the globe for everybody. And I came into the role after finishing my stint at Leeds University Union on the student exec there, where I had also worked quite closely with the Lifelong Learning Centre to try and increase the amount of mature students who were engaging in activities at the student union. So it was a really lovely transition to then come into this role at the Lifelong Learning Centre, because I'd worked quite closely with Jenny, who I've interviewed for this podcast, and was my predecessor in this role, and with Paul as well, who is now my manager. So very funny that now I'm working so closely with them still, and a lovely journey it's been. And it was always just such a joy working with the staff and the students at the Lifelong Learning Centre. And I was like, yeah, this is a bit of me. This is where I want to go and work. So yeah, burst into tears when Satara rang me and offered me the job. I mean, it was a stressful time for everyone. I don't think it took much to make me burst into tears in 2020, to be honest. But yeah, it's been a wonderful 6 years. And now in my role, what I do is, I like to say, I try and just make sure that everyone has a great experience. Everyone's having fun. I do the fun stuff. Paul likes to put it like that. So that includes events. So I make sure there are spaces where our students can come together, whether that's students who are studying with us on a Lifelong Learning Centre course or mature undergraduate students wherever they are in the university. I look after the Middle Ground Network as part of that kind of eventsy thing, which is for younger mature students. So people might know me from the Middle Ground Network. I send a lot of newsletters out, so lots of people will know me because my name pops up in your inbox a lot. So I work on that really closely with Stuart, who makes our newsletters very much better looking than they would be if I was in charge of putting them together. So big credit to Stuart there. And also probably maybe my favourite part of my job is all of the work that I do on student voice. So I've launched both of the student advisory boards that we now have in the Lifelong Learning Centre, so for mature students and also for foundation year students. And I also look after our course reps and school reps. There's a lot of stuff. But yeah, generally here to make sure that our students are just making the absolute most of being at a university the size of Leeds. Like I always say when we run like offer holder events and do induction and things, that like that's really scary and it's really intimidating, because like I still get lost on campus. I mean, I get lost everywhere, so that's not a good the bar is low. But like it's a massive campus, it's really intimidating. There's like nearly 40,000 just students. That's both, terrifying and scary and makes it really hard to navigate. But it also means that there is just so much happening. There is so much support, so many activities, so many opportunities. And I'm here to make sure that people know where to go and find them and know that they are for them, and nobody's going, oh, but that's for the other students, it's not for people like me. My job is to make sure that they know it's absolutely for them, or if there are barriers that are getting in the way of them accessing it, I'm there to knock it down.
Oh, Lauren, that's thank you so much for sharing. And you are such a powerful and positive presence at the Life Learning Center, in my opinion. You bring such joy at the office, but also in everything you do. All of the events that you just talked about, I sometimes when I can, I'm there, and I think they are incredibly positive, very much student centric. I think these drive to create spaces where our students can get together, can create a sense of community, where student voice is really captured, heard. There is sort of a feedback loop so that we can continue to improve the student experience at the LLC, but for mature students across the University of Leeds. I think that's really, really powerful, and definitely appreciate it. So thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. You'll have me crying again, Antonio.
And I know there's more. The list could go on the tasks, but I know that, the Middle Ground Network, you contribute to our social media. You are a fantastic colleague. There is so much coordination that happens at the university. I know that you collaborate with other colleagues, not from the Lifelong Learning Centre necessarily, to create opportunities for students and events, etc. So thank you again. It's wonderful and it's far-reaching, and I think it's appreciated. Okay, then 6 years. Wow, what an achievement already. The second question, therefore, neatly comes in and asking if there are any, well, there is one or maybe a couple of highlights of your time at the Lifelong Learning Centre, and if there are, why? I'm sure there are more moments, but if you could narrow it down maybe to one or two, Lauren.
Oh, God, there are so many highlights. And I really, when I was thinking about this, empathised with all of the people that I have interviewed for this podcast and how hard it is to come up with one memory, one highlight. So I'm going a bit kind of vague with my highlights, in that everything that I thought of was all about students kind of stepping outside of their comfort zone and seeing the growth and the amount of kind of confidence building that comes with that, the connections that they make. For example, like I was saying about my job, that a lot of it is about, I like to say I'm a bit of a cheerleader. So if I hear somebody be like, oh, like that seems fun, but it's not for me, I'm having none of it. It's absolutely for them. And if somebody wants to access something, I will absolutely die on that hill that I'm going to make sure that they can access it. So all of the moments where, say, I've been chatting to somebody about maybe opportunities at the student union. Like I said, that's where I've worked previously. I know all of the incredible things that came out of me taking part in those opportunities, and I'm very passionate that our students don't rule themselves out of that. So I've got an amazing example of Harriati, one of our she was a student parent. She studied part-time with us, and I managed to convince her, support her, encourage her, definitely not force, to run for the equality and liberation role on the student executive at Leeds University Union. And I think she was the first mature part-time student parent who had ever taken up that position. And that kind of representation is just so powerful. Harriati was the first, but then multiple students that I've worked with have run since then and put themselves forwards. And despite not being successful and getting elected, just the taking part in that leadership race, as it's called, and pushing themselves outside their comfort zone, just shows people what they're capable of, and you just see that grow and grow. So, for example, students who might take up a role as a school rep might feel quite nervous about that, but then they take that up and then they hear about all these other opportunities, and because they've seen that, oh wait, I'm actually quite good at this, and I can see the value I'm getting from it, they're then saying yes to loads of other things. And that's all stuff that's adding to their CV, adding to their skill set, growing their confidence, growing their kind of peer connections. It might be where they've just found their best friends, and what's more valuable than that? Discovering things that they didn't know they were going to be really passionate about, discovering things that they decide, absolutely, I'm not doing that again, because that's also really, really valuable stuff. But yeah, just those moments where I know that people just need a little bit of encouragement. And if there's anything that I enjoy, it is encouraging people and being a big cheerleader for everyone and saying, no, that's absolutely for you. And here's why it's really important that you take up those spaces, because that shows other people with similar experiences and backgrounds to you that they can also put themselves forward to that, and they can take up that space, and that it is possible. And the more and more that happens, the more and more students are going to feel comfortable doing it. And I'm also going to take liberties a bit as a co-host of this podcast and do an extra bonus highlight, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So people may have noticed, they may have seen on the precinct of the university campus or all over our social media lately, that we have had some banners of our alumni, which has been something myself and Greg, our lovely colleague, have worked really hard on making happen. And it's something the Lifelong Learning Centre has spoken about for like over a decade now, and it is just so impactful and so meaningful to walk through the precinct and see one of our alumni banners next to Keir Starmer, and just like seeing their stories highlighted at such a kind of mega level at the university, and the visibility to the work that we do and how incredible our students and alumni are has been brilliant. And also it was quite hard work getting that all together. Lots of moving parts, lots of different people needed to work with. I'm certain it's certainly not something I had ever done before, so I was kind of just making it up as I go along and trying to figure it out. So to get them up and see them in the precinct was magical. It was absolutely wonderful, and such a relief. And I actually saw a photo yesterday on LinkedIn of one of the alumni who had come onto campus to take a photo with her banner. And I'm like, it's just beautiful. It's so wonderful to see our alumni celebrated like that. So I'm going to give that as a little bonus highlight as well.
Oh, thank you. What a lovely bonus to the answer. Those banners look beautiful. So congratulations and well done for all the work you and Greg and everybody else involved really have carried through to get them up there. They look absolutely beautiful. Shout out to all of the students that have contributed and very kindly offered to be on the banners, and shout out to the rest of the student community as well. It's wonderful to see, obviously, our Lifelong Learning Centre students represented and obviously celebrating the amazing achievements, the students and the wider student community, the Lifelong Learning Centre, mature student community Leeds. So well done. That was, definitely a highlight of the springtime for us, isn't it, to see those banners at the precinct. Amazing. Well, these conversations are always too short, but for the sake of keeping the podcast at a time that is convenient for people to listen anytime from anywhere, we are already at our last question, Lauren, which is, if you were to choose 3 words to describe the Lifelong Learning Centre, what would those words be and why?
Okay, I thought really long and hard about these. As again, it's a really difficult question when you're on the other side of it. The first word that I picked is authentic. And I think somebody else that I interviewed had said this as well. So whoever I've nabbed it off, thank you. But I agree. I think the Lifelong Learning Centre, both for staff and students, from what I hear from them, is really a place where people can actually show up as themselves and bring their whole selves to work, to studies, to whatever it is they're engaging with. That I think we've really created a space where people can show up as they are and not have to pretend to be anything else, which can be a thing in higher education, particularly somewhere like Leeds, at a Russell Group institution. There's a lot that comes with that, a lot of imposter syndrome, but it's so valuable to have a place on campus, both a physical place and a kind of virtual space of the Lifelong Learning Centre to go, no, we recognise all of this, all of you that you're bringing to university. And we're such a kind of random bunch of community, like no 2 people are similar. We're an odd bunch at the Lifelong Learning Centre, and I think that's what makes us beautiful and wonderful, and people are celebrated for exactly who they are and not asked to be anything other than that. And I think that is really important. My second word I picked is caring. I think we genuinely care about what we're doing. I know I definitely am. This is not just a job to me. Like the Lifelong Learning Centre is very much rooted in social justice, in equality of opportunity, and everyone I work with believes so strongly in that, and both in and out of work. And we see how powerful that is for all of the people that we work with, whether they end up coming into higher education or just engage with a community and partnerships team event. Like, the effect that has on people is huge, and it is so rewarding and just the best part of the job. It changes people's lives, which brings me so perfectly onto my final word, which is impactful, because I think we transform lives, and I don't think that can be understated. I know that coming to university, I came to Leeds, it changed my life. It absolutely did. There is no way I would be this confident or have taken up the amount of opportunities I have, or just believe in myself as much if I had never come to university. So I don't ever underestimate the impact that all of us can have on the students that we work with. And it's not always big stuff like putting their face on a banner in the precinct. It's those small interactions that just really make a massive difference. I've had so many emails where somebody's been like, oh, you didn't mention how difficult I'd been finding that day, and like you telling me that I absolutely can do that, or just pointing me in the right direction, or walking me over to that place I couldn't find is the reason I didn't drop out. Like, you just don't know how much of an effect you're having, and those showing people that you care, that they can be themselves, is exactly what has all of that impact on people. So yeah, authentic, caring and impactful, I think, are the three words I'm going to choose.
Oh, and they're beautiful words. Thank you so much for sharing and for articulating so well a lot of the ethos and the values of the centre, which I feel all of us working there really share. And I can feel resonating from even this conversation that you pour such joy and yeah, absolutely embodying the ethos of the Lifelong Learning Centre, creating those transformational opportunities for people to engage with, studying at university. And accessing opportunities and making sure that they know that those opportunities are available should they wish to explore them further and embark on a journey with us or at the university or elsewhere studying, and then we can be sort of a catalyst for that. So thank you so much. It was absolutely wonderful to chat to you this afternoon. It's afternoon for us.
I've had a great time. Thank you so much for interviewing me, Antonio.
It's been a pleasure. So Lauren, thank you again, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please look out for next episodes that we'll be publishing again every month, and we continue to chat to students, alumni, and our colleagues. There are also episodes that we published in the previous month, so if you haven't had an opportunity to listen to those yet, please go check them out. I'll just wish you a very, very good rest of your day, and thank you all for tuning in. And thanks again, Lauren.